Despite flops like Concord, Sony has told Famitsu that they are not giving up on live services, which I cannot wait to dive into this because I love PlayStation single-player games. PlayStation Live services, we've got some room to grow, I think is safe. So anyway, Famitsu sat down with PlayStation's CEO of Studio Business Group, Herman Holst, who essentially talked about like PlayStation's roadmap for the next year, right? And one of the key conversation points was, how do you rate PlayStation's performance in 2024? To which Herman responded saying, PlayStation Studios is a place where talented creators gather, and we are happy that Astrobot, created by Japan's Team Asobi, is receiving praise around the world. This is a very important title in our portfolio. PlayStation Studios aims to expand the PlayStation community through games such as Astrobot and LEGO Horizon Adventures, and we also plan to release great titles such as Ghost of Yotei in the future. We hope that more players will continue to enjoy our works. We are also continuing to grow our live service division, with Helldivers 2 being a huge success in forming a strong portfolio. The Studio Business Group is focused on rigorously selecting games that provide great experiences to players. We are also focusing on expanding our IP in new areas, such as a movie version of Ghost of Tsushima. But then this interview takes a turn, because Famitsu goes straight for the jugular with this next question. Famitsu asked Herman Holst, on the other hand, Concord was shut down in about 2 weeks, and the closure of 2 studios, Neon Koi, Firewalk Studios, was also announced. As the COVID-19 pandemic calms down, the games business is changing rapidly. But how do you analyze the causes? Also, will there be any changes in your strategy for live services and mobile games due to the closures of these studios? God damn! Famitsu just pulling out the journalism card and asking the hard-hitting questions. All right, cannot wait to see how Herman jumps into this. Herman, the game business is constantly changing due to the various factors, including technological advances, new genres, and ways of playing. However, one thing that remains constant is people's desire for great entertainment experiences, and attentions to games continue to grow. However, this has also created competition, and like many companies in the industry, we have had to make changes to our business to solidify a more sustainable operating base. Going forward, we will continue to focus on developing live services titles along with story-driven single-player titles that our players want. We are learning a lot as we establish the ability to develop high-quality live service titles with Sony Interactive Entertainment. Helldivers 2 attracted many players through continuous content provisions and achieved results that support the potential of live service titles. In mobile games, we want to develop PlayStation IP in a way that maximizes synergy with the console. To that end, we will first focus on collaborations with external development studios. In November 2023, we announced a strategic partnership with NCSoft to collaborate in the mobile field. In October 2024, Destiny Rising, a mobile game based on Destiny IP, was announced, developed, and published by NetEase Games. I think it's important to take a pause here and point out a couple things. While Concord definitely was a loss for PlayStation, Helldivers 2 had a solid 2024, right? And for Sony, I think you have the tale of two stories, right? You have a company that looks at companies like Epic Games, right? And they're like, yo, these guys are killing it with Fortnite. We want part of that Fortnite. We don't want to be a Fortnite platform. We want to be the Fortnite, right? That's PlayStation's MO. And so they're like, we're going to get into live services. So they invest heavily into the live service market without really knowing like what's good, what's bad. And I think you have the tale of two tales. On one end, you have Helldivers, which was a complete success for Sony. It's a fantastic live service video game. People are still playing it, and the content is flowing very well. However, on Concord, it was like a fart in church. Nobody wanted to play that game. It got killed in 2 weeks. And I think you as Sony have to realize that, like, hey, the live service market is there. It's something we can capitalize on, but we got to be cautious the way we do it. And in many ways, it's interesting, because the reason I see a lot of people saying Concord failed was because it was $49.99, right? It cost money. Helldivers 2 also cost money to play. Helldivers 2 is not a free-to-play video game. So it's like, yes, we have these live service experiences that are free to play and they do very well, but on one side, Helldivers 2 starts a narrative that says, hey, if your game is good enough and it can last the test of time and it has a really good loop of gameplay, people are going to play it. And not only are people going to play it, but they're going to pay $39.99 to be a part of it. The other thing that I took away from there is that Sony really, I think, has realized that single-player games are their bread and butter. And that's a huge win for me. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but like I would love to see Sony invest very, very heavily into more single-player narrative games every single year. Like I want more Uncharted, I want Last of Us 3, I want another God of War, give me another Order 1866. I mean, give me a SOCOM. Like, there are so many games that Sony could create and make them fun games that it's not happening, and it's super sad. So it sounds like that's going to be changing. Ghost of Tsushima 2 and Ghost of Tsushima TV show, that's a massive W, man. I cannot wait to play the Ghost of Tsushima 2. I just beat the first game last year. Absolutely loved it. The TV show, I'm sure, is going to be great. If it's anything like Last of Us, it's going to be fantastic. Destiny mobile game. I don't know how I missed this story. And Destiny is a very sensitive subject. I was talking to my wife about it a couple days ago. I love Destiny. I think it's such a great game. But having become a father and being a dad, my time to do quests and raids and do these missions, it's not possible. I don't have time to do like the RNG and the grinding. Like, it's not possible. So the fact that we have a Destiny mobile game, I'm literally going to check that out. Once we get off the show, they said it was released. So I might have to install this, check it out, because I'm very interested in how that performs. And maybe instead of playing the Pokemon trading card game, I add Destiny 2 to my mobile game, and I'll just travel with my phone and be able to play it on there. So that's not all that we have from Herman Hulst. There was one last thing that I thought was really interesting. Herman Hulst was asked about PlayStation releasing exclusives onto the Nintendo Switch, notably talking about like the Lego Horizon Zero Dawn video game that launched this year. And Herman said, live service titles are released on multiple platforms because it's important that multiple players can play the game together. For other titles, we consider and decide the policy based on whether it's best sales format for the players and the company. So going off that and everything else he said, single-player games sound like they're going to be PlayStation 5 and then eventually come to PC or Steam. Live service titles are going to be everywhere, but then you're also going to have like a middle ground for exclusives that are like, no, this is coming to Nintendo, this is coming to Xbox. Really kind of a strong format for PlayStation, and I hope it succeeds for them. So anyway, really, really cool dive into like the future of PlayStation. I thought it was kind of cool to read into that. Wanted to share it with y'all.